The last ride. The girl who vanished from the Uber that never stopped. She ordered a ride like millions of others do every day. A short trip across town, a familiar street, a verified driver, nothing unusual. She even texted a friend, "On my way, should be there in 10, but she never arrived. No final call, no last goodbye, just an empty car, a missing girl, and a ride that, according to the app, never ended. What followed was a case so unsettling that police, tech investigators, and even dark web sleuths began to ask the same chilling question. What happens when your ride never lets you go? This is the terrifying true account of the last ride. A girl, a car, a routine trip, and a disappearance that still haunts the digital highway. She just needed a ride. It was a rainy Friday evening in Portland, Oregon, the kind where city lights glow against puddled streets and everything smells like wet asphalt and pine. 19-year-old Mia Collins, a sophomore journalism student, had just finished a late class. She was tired, hungry, and cold. Her umbrella flipped by the wind, her jacket soaked at the sleeves. She messaged her roommate, "Ordering an Uber now. Traffic's gross. Be there in 10. At 7:42 p.m., Mia requested a ride from the university to her off-campus apartment, a 12-minute drive, less than 5 miles. The car was a black 2017 Toyota Camry. The driver's name was listed as Joseph. His rating was solid, 4.9 stars, over 3,000 trips. Mia got in, the ride began, and she was never seen again, an app that refused to end the trip. At first, her disappearance felt like a fluke. Maybe her phone died, maybe she got out and went somewhere else. But the hours passed, then a day, then 2. Her friends called her, her mother filed a report, and when police contacted Uber for trip data, the story grew darker. Because according to the ride app, Mia's trip was still ongoing. Her ride had never been completed. The car's GPS signal had vanished at exactly 7:58 p.m., just 16 minutes after pickup, midway through a route that should have ended at 7:55. And yet, no drop-off, no destination pinged, no driver rating. The trip was glitched, frozen, like the car had simply driven off the map. The last ping. Investigators pulled location data. The Camry had followed the expected route until it reached the Forest Loop bypass, a 2-lane wooded stretch notorious for poor reception. At 7:57 p.m., Mia sent her final text. "Why is he turning here?" That was the last signal her phone ever transmitted. At 7:58, both the car's GPS and Mia's phone went dark. Within 800 meters of the old Tucker Mill logging road, a remote trail that hadn't been used in years. Police searched the area. Nothing. No tire tracks, no broken branches, no abandoned vehicle, just trees, mud, silence, and Mia, gone. The driver who didn't exist. When detectives tried to contact Joseph, they found something strange. The profile was active, but the license plate was registered to a car in Ohio, not Oregon. The photo ID had no state seal. The driver's license number? Fake. Even Uber was baffled. The account had been created just 10 days earlier, using what they later called a deep identity spoof. "It shouldn't have been possible," an Uber spokesperson said, but someone gamed the system. The phone linked to the account was a burner, registered under a prepaid SIM, paid with cryptocurrency. Whoever Joseph was, he had covered his tracks completely. There was only one confirmed image, a blurry snapshot from a gas station camera, taken an hour before the ride began. The driver wore a blue ball cap pulled low, gloves, no visible tattoos, sunglasses, at night, and then he was never seen again. The footage that made it worse. A week after Mia vanished, her roommate received a file attachment from an anonymous number. The message simply read, "Your friend made it to her destination." Inside the file was 12 seconds of grainy dash cam footage. It showed Mia in the back seat. She was smiling, listening to music, looking out the window. Then she noticed something. She leaned forward. "Hey, I think you missed the turn." The video cut to black. Police traced the number. It pinged off a relay tower in Belize. The IP address? routed through 5 global proxies, untraceable. They still don't know how that file was recorded. The Camry wasn't Uber issued. It had no built-in dash cam. The pattern no one saw coming. Months passed. No new leads. But then, internet sleuths digging through ride app data on Reddit found something terrifying. Mia's ride ID number wasn't unique. It was part of a sequence, a digital footprint used to catalog trips across North America, masking their real-time location with a fabricated route, all while appearing completely legitimate inside Uber's own servers. The ride would look like it was still active. The signal would stay alive. There were safeguards, eventually. The glitch was patched silently in late 2022, but for nearly 4 years, the door had been open. You could make the app think the driver was circling downtown, Wexler said, when in reality, the car had turned down some remote trail and disappeared completely. That revelation alone would have been haunting, but what happened next chilled investigators to the bone. Following Wexler's disclosure, the FBI requested high-res satellite data from private firms covering the Tucker Mill Road area, the last known location where Mia Collins' ride had glitched out of existence. One frame, captured at 8:06 p.m. on November 17, 2022, revealed a faint thermal signature, an irregular heat bloom roughly 60 feet off the trail. Not a car, not a fire, a structure. It was invisible in standard photography, perfectly hidden under the tree canopy, but in infrared, it glowed like a wound. Local authorities mobilized a search team, and 2 weeks later, they pushed into the dense woods with drones and ground-penetrating radar. At first, it looked like nothing, just dense underbrush and fallen leaves. But then they found the char, a burned-out foundation surrounded by scorched soil and buried debris. Whatever had been there, a cabin, a shack, maybe something custom-built, had been deliberately incinerated. There were signs of accelerants, melted plastic, ruptured metal, no clothing, no bodies, no ID. But in the ash, lodged between a collapsed corner of concrete and a scorched tree root, they found something else. A pink phone case, half melted, cracked down the middle. It matched Mia's exactly. And tucked inside the case, somehow shielded from the fire, was a small, folded note. The paper was dry, untouched by flames. Maybe it had fallen into a pocket of protection. Maybe it had been placed that way, intentionally. The handwriting was neat, clean, unrushed. Just 3 words scrawled in permanent black ink. Ride still active. Conclusion, a ride you can't escape. To this day, Mia Collins has not been found. Her family holds annual vigils. Uber says it cooperated fully. The official investigation is still open but inactive. But every so often, the app glitches. A ride never completes. A ghost trip hovers in the system, and moderators on obscure forums whisper about phantom drivers, untraceable accounts that appear for a week, take a single passenger, then vanish. Is it a serial killer? A trafficker? A tech-savvy predator who found a flaw and exploited it with near-perfect precision? No one knows. All they have is Mia's last message. Why is he turning here? And a trip that, even today, still hasn't ended. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe for more real horror tales, and let us know in the comments.